came up with, we gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a four-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation, 25%, either one of those numbers. They've raised $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare.
Why does Biden look lost?
They're going to destroy Social Security.
Trump's only 3 years younger than him. This is
destroy Social Security. These
crazy.
Millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that.
Yeah, right? 2024. And this is where we are.
Rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And
I don't know.
This idea that they were all against it is just ridiculous. And
if I did vote, I'd probably vote for Biden. But
6 weeks,
I have no idea, honestly.
Not, but you cannot
I just wish we had another choice.
And have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states...
These are the only two choices, really. And that kind of sucks.
States, that each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young
What
woman
about you?
who was murdered.
You voted for Trump?
And he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that.
God.
But here's the deal. There's a lot
it's
of
so hard
women
to
who
listen to
by
Biden talk.
By their in-laws, by their
just
spouses,
like, poor guy.
brothers
Like,
and sisters.
oh, God.
It's just ridiculous. And they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country.
I mean, yeah, but you're voting for the independent party. Isn't that just like,
as far as the abortion,
you might as well like not vote?
The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases,
I mean, you got the two big dogs, and it's like,
voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people.
It's gonna be one of these two guys,
wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have.
Right? She cut him off.
Ronald Reagan wanted.
Hey, he only had 1 minute to talk, I think.
Wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back.
He needs better like time management. He keeps getting cut off.
Of the people. And that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it.
He did not age well. Trump's only 3 years younger than Biden, and
I'll let you do that.
God,
this is the same topic.
Biden looks like he could be his grandfather.
No legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions.
They need him to be more concise.
That's what
because he's not making a time limit.
I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia.
New lexicon.
Put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
I'm not a Trump fan, but he's a good talker.
But Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. When a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Okay.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years. and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board, at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security.
Trump.
President Biden,
Trump's trying to come back.
Of migrants have
Sorry,
illegally
Trump.
crossed the
We're moving
southern
on.
border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns.
Y'all still
Given
having to
that,
vote
why
on
should
whether you
voters
have to
trust
bear a
you
child or
to
can
solve
get rid
this
of it.
crisis?
It will never change.
Because we worked
LOL.
very hard to get a
Yeah.
bipartisan agreement that not
Just-
only changed all
That's
that,
the government.
it made sure
Takes
that
forever.
we were in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could
He
come
needs
across
many
the border
babies as
with the
possible.
number of
Aren't we
people that are
overpopulated
now.
or getting
We significantly
overpopulated?
increased the number of
I know too many
asylum
people that have like
significantly. By the way, the Border
10
Patrol
baby
endorsed
mamas,
me,
5 baby
endorsed my
mamas.
position.
Nick Cannon's got
In
like,
addition to
how
that,
many?
we found
12
ourselves in a
kids?
situation where when he was president, he was
Do we
taking
really have a population
separating
problem?
babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure they were the families were
I
separated.
think it's like China
That's not the right way to go. What I've
somewhere
done since I've changed the
where
law,
like they have like a
what's
2
happened,
baby
I've
limit,
changed it in a way
something like
now
that,
you're in a
because it's too
situation
populated.
where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence.
Oh,
don't think he knows what he said either.
I
Look,
knew Trump was gonna sneak
we had
that
the
in. He
safest
really
border in
wants
the
to
history of
point
our
out
country. The border, all he had to do
how
was
like
leave it. All
lost
he had to do
Biden
was
is.
leave it. He decided
He doesn't even have to
open
point
up
it
our
out,
border,
honestly.
open up our country to people
The fact that
are
Biden can be saying,
from prisons.
he can be saying like
People
legit
that are
things,
from mental
and
institutions,
just the way he
insane
sounds, the way he
asylums,
looks, it's
terrorists.
just,
We're the largest
it's
number
not
of terrorists
hitting.
coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America.
Yeah.
All over the world, they come from.
They have a
Middle
lot of
East,
people, though.
everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring
I think,
in.
I'm
And
not
this
sure,
guy just
but I
left
think
it open.
India is
And he didn't need
most
legislation
populated.
Because I didn't have legislation. I said close
see.
the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president.
I won't
Random.
say that,
Speak to 'em.
but they did.
Look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been
That's
anything
funny.
like it. And
I won't
people
say
are
that,
dying
but I'll
all over
repeat
the
it.
place, including the people
But
that
they
are coming
did.
up in
President
caravans.
Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed 3, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed 3 American soldiers, That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
So he's,
President
okay.
Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant?
He's
in
gonna build that
America,
wall.
including those who have jobs,
He's
including
gonna
those
start the
whose
wall again.
spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York. In
So he's avoiding the
California,
question?
in every state in the union.
He doesn't
Because
have
we don't have
to
borders anymore.
use his
Every
minute
state is
to
now a
answer the
border.
question.
And because of his ridiculous,
I like how they have the
insane, and
question
very
on the
stupid
screen, though.
policies,
Like,
people are
come
coming
on.
in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime.
I
We
want
call
the
it
wall?
Biden
No.
migrant crime.
I-
They're killing our citizens at a level
I don't think
that
the
we've
wall
never
will
seen
matter.
before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible
I
young
mean,
girls over
dig
the last
under,
3
climb
days.
under,
One of
climb
them, I just
over,
spoke to
dig
the mother,
under,
and
destroy it.
he just
I
had
don't think the
funeral for
wall
this
will
girl,
matter unless they
12
have
years old. This is
someone
horrible what's
like,
taking place. What's
placed
taking place in our country
within like
we're
50 feet
literally
or 100 feet of each
another
other.
civilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know.
Like guards.
He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like.
I'm just saying.
We have to get a lot of these people out.
They're asking like,
because they're going to
how's he like? What's he gonna do with the immigrants?
They're living in luxury hotels
And
in New York City and other places.
I just think about how he said he was gonna build that
They're
wall.
dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse.
He didn't even answer the
highest approval
question.
rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I
Right.
approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so
Fortnite.
many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in.
President
it's
Biden.
That was a
very sad
long
day.
minute.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in...
Is he talking about his son
in
that's in
France
trouble?
For D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died.
Right.
I went to the
He
World
didn't
War II
answer the
cemetery.
question at
World
all.
War
He
II
just
cemetery,
deflected and it was trying
He was
to.
standing
I
with
don't know if they are
Star
lies or
General,
not,
and
but
he told me, he said, "I don't
I
wanna
feel
go in
like
there because
Biden's
that's
telling
what
the
it is,
truth,
sucker."
but he has
My son was
zero
telling me, "You're not a
charisma.
sucker.
And then
You're a
Trump
sucker.
can say
You're a
whatever he wants, and in his
First of all, that
following,
was a made-up
his-
quote, suckers and losers. They made
his
it up. It was
following
in
will
a
just
third-rate
believe
magazine
him
that's failing,
because
like
I mean
many of
they've
these
believed him this whole
magazines.
time.
He made that up. He put it in commercials. We notified him.
I
We
feel
had
like
19 people that said I didn't say it. And think
either
of
you
this.
shouldn't be able
Who
to
can say
lie,
I'm at a cemetery, or I'm talking about our veterans, because nobody's taken better
or
care.
like there
So
should be like a
glad this
fact
came up.
checker
And he brought it up.
on site.
There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said
Right.
that the laptop
Honestly,
was
when
Russia
you dodge,
disinformation. It
when you
wasn't.
dodge
It
questions
came
like that,
from
I
Sam
automatically think
Hunter.
you're lying.
It wasn't Russia disinformation.
It's not, like,
He made up the
if you were
suckers
telling-
and
'cause
losers, so
if
he
you were
should
telling the
apologize
truth,
to me right now.
Why wouldn't you
Most
want to
all
say
the
it?
generals stand to your side
If
was
you're
on
not
your
lying,
side.
why
You
wouldn't
said
you want to
said
gloat about it?
Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything.
Hook him up with
Wow.
Polly live on TV.
We've
Yeah.
been there for veterans, many presidents,
Hey, if those things were reliable, I'd say yeah.
American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families.
Now
and
just
equip
put
them
a
to go to
green
war.
and red light
That's what we're
in the
doing.
background,
That's what the VA
and
is
anytime
doing
that
now.
they're lying,
We're doing more for veterans than
someone
ever
can
before
put like
in
the red light will
thank you
glow
so much.
behind them,
Top of
or the
foreign
green light.
policy, I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine,
Yeah.
which is now in its third year.
That's what it's gonna take
Former
for people to
President
actually
Trump,
have a voice.
Russian President
Exactly.
Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine,
He
if we had a
said
real
they like me
president, a
more.
president that knew,
The
that
cool
was
kids
respected by
like me
Putin,
more.
he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead.
Whoa!
now, much more
Whoa!
than you know, they talk
Whoa!
about numbers. You can double those numbers.
Trump
you can
is
triple those
legit
numbers.
saying right now,
He
he's
did
just
nothing to
saying
stop
that
it. In fact, I think he encouraged
because
Russia from going
Biden
in.
is in
And
charge
see
and
what
not
happened. He was so
him.
bad with
That's the whole
Afghanistan.
reason why
He
the
was
war
such a
started.
horrible,
It's because they like
most
me more.
embarrassing
You know,
moment in the
I would
history
have
of our
never,
country.
I would have never
He
let
watched
Putin
that, and
Putin
he
do
saw the
this.
incompetence that he
We
should
cool,
have
we
fired
tight,
those generals,
okay?
Like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost. But he should.
Yeah,
have fired
right?
those
I wanna
generals.
get in on the
No general
commentary.
got
I wanna ask some
fired
questions.
For the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan. where we left billions of dollars of equipment
Yeah, I like that
behind.
question.
We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too.
He
We
just
left
started the
American
question,
citizens behind.
just
When
asking,
Putin saw
just
that,
like
he
tooting
said,
his own
You know
horn.
what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take my... This was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never.
Oh, he talked to
Just like
Putin.
Israel
Hey,
would
they're
have
best
never been
friends.
invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke.
Again, he avoided the question. He's just talking about how it would have never happened
no money for Hamas.
if
They had no
if Trump
money
was
for
in charge.
anything. No money for terror.
None of
That's
this
why
would have
there's
happened.
No terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Not when he was president. There they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over
I do too.
100,000 Americans and others.
It's not even. It's crazy he's a president.
During that airlift.
Because,
Number
like,
three, we found ourselves in a situation
I see this guy
where
normal,
if you take
day-to-day
a look at
life.
what Trump did in Ukraine,
I'll help him with his
this
groceries,
guy
you know.
told Ukraine,
I'll
told Trump,
have a
"Do
10-minute
whatever
conversation
you
with him
want,
because I know he doesn't
and
talk
do
to
whatever
people.
you want." And that's exactly what Trump did.
But this guy's our
Encourage
president.
him,
It's
do
kind
whatever you
of
want.
like,
And he went in.
honestly,
Listen to what he
with
said
Joe
when
in
he
charge,
went.
it's kind of like,
We're gonna take
I just
Cuba
hope
in 5 days.
no
Remember?
war gets started,
That's
right?
part
Like,
of the
as
old
long
Soviet
as
Union.
there's
That's what he
peace,
wanted
I'm
to
like,
reestablish.
that's fine.
Key.
Obviously,
And he, in
you
fact,
want
didn't
someone
do
that's
it
going to
at
make
all. He didn't get
change
it done.
and be
And
progressive.
they've lost thousands and thousands
Yeah,
of troops.
but
500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I never said
we just need another choice. We need to fast forward to, I don't know, 8 years from now.
Keeping the territory in Ukraine.
Maybe we'll have better candidates.
This is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200
This is 237
billion
from
now
DT.
or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's
Discount's
a lot
higher?
of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this
What do
country,
you
he
mean
walks away with
237
$60
from
billion.
DT?
He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled.
Just throw that
People
out there,
being
BTW.
killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
You
President
know,
Biden, you have a minute.
the fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? You think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel.
What's
killing
237
more
from
than
DT?
1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a
Cat hair
humanitarian
everywhere.
crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is no the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas, number one. They're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need
Oh,
them.
bombs don't
By the
work
way,
well?
I'm the guy that organized the
Around
war
people?
against Iran when they
Oh,
had a full-blown
okay.
intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so they're two different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business.
He loves to compliment himself.
100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money.
People love me.
Over $100 billion.
Everyone loves me,
and it has a bigger impact on them because of location. Because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden,
What?
you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness.
What?
This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. Are you going to stay in NATO?
He's become
You're
a
gonna pull out of
Palestinian?
NATO. The idea that
He's
we
a
have-
bad one?
Our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a
Bruh.
big ocean, but we've
Never heard anyone say he's become a black person.
What
He's a
happens
really
if, in
bad
fact,
black
have
person.
Putin continue to go into NATO. We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack
Bad
on all.
Asian.
If you want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace.
That was a win.
No
That was a
major
win
war
for
in Europe has
Biden.
ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
Good for you.
President Trump, just
Good
to
job.
follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that,
Before we do that, let me go back.
Is that we spend all the money, so they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations, because if you add them up, they're about the same size
Oh,
economically.
God.
Their
Before we
economy is
go
about
to
the
that,
same
I know I
size
only
as
have
the
a
United
minute
States.
to
And
answer,
they were no
but let me
cars,
avoid
no-
the
they don't
question
want anything
again
that we have, but
and
we're
talk
supposed
about
to
what
take
he
their
just said.
cars, their food, their
He hasn't
everything,
answered
their
like four
agriculture.
questions.
I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is
This
because I got
is
them to put up hundreds of billions
Crazy
of dollars.
they
I
let
said-
this go
and he's right
on.
about this. I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time? And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's
Thank you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. A former president
Again,
Trump-
didn't
I wanna
answer the
ask you about
question.
January 6, 2021, after you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border.
Uh-huh.
Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world.
He
All
definitely
over the
stoked
world
that
we were
fire.
respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
What?
What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership
What?
is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and
He
square.
talked about January 6th
You
for
have
like
80 seconds left. My question was,
10
what do you
seconds.
say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C.
Is that true?
They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it.
Oh, is
And I
he,
said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever.
What?
And I offered it to her, and she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter.
He's like, I
because
tried
they
to
were
stop
into a liar.
it.
She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one.
Yeah, we
I
know
sat
that.
in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours.
It's on video.
3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something.
He could have spoke
Called
up.
for a stop.
Could have
End
said
it.
something.
Instead, they talked about these people being
didn't.
patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. You know, they've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say
Yeah.
that no. He went to every
He
single
does.
court in the nation.
This
I don't
is
know
true.
how many cases.
He's only saying it now because it's
Scores
not
of cases,
popular
including the
to
Supreme Court. And they said
in a
they
live
said,
debate
no,
where everyone's
this
seeing
guy-
it.
This guy is responsible for doing
Can't
what
own it
was
now.
what was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that there could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President
Called him a
Biden.
whiner.
President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there.
If
with the
he,
fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed.
To follow up
When
with
you
what
look
he
at
was
all
talking
of
about with
the-
Nancy Pelosi,
They took
if he
over
would have
big
said
chunks of Seattle. I
after
was all set
Biden's
to bring in the
reply
National Guard.
that,
They knew that. They saw them coming and they left immediately.
that he tried to say
What he said
something
about this whole
or stop
subject
it,
is so
then that would have followed up with
peacefully
it. But he
conducted.
kind
One
of
other
just,
thing.
he's avoiding it
The
again.
Unselect committee, which is
He's
basically
avoiding
two horrible
admitting
Republicans
anything.
that are all gone now.
I mean,
out
he's a
of office,
politician.
and Democrats, all Democrats. They destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican
To jail,
does that,
huh,
they go to-
Trump?
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the
Hey,
matter
this is true.
He isn't. What he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no.
That's
effort on his
crazy.
part to stop
He's a
what was going on
convicted
up on
felon, and
Capitol
he's
Hill.
on
And
a
all those people,
presidential
every one of those who were
debate
convicted
panel.
was turned over desks,
That's
turned
crazy.
over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, the debates we had first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border.
Honestly, who cares? His son's not going to be president.
We're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor.
I don't
Otherwise,
care about Hunter.
If I ever said
I don't
that,
care.
That's quid pro quo.
Unless he's running for president or running for something that's important. Nah, live your own life. Get convicted, go to jail. It's your life.
You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. Well, you want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged
Trump's got
with,
that face.
How many
so what you
millions
gonna
of
do
dollars
about
you owe
it?
in civil
I can do
penalties
whatever I want.
For molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a
I love
porn
Trump's
star,
just nodding
your
his
wife-
head.
your-
Oh,
your
he's
wife
shaking
is
it
pregnant.
now.
I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give him that, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office.
We're talking about porn
that
stars
case is going to be appealed and won.
at a
We had
presidential
a very,
debate.
terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases,
stop
because
that.
they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have
Nick,
said,
is that you?
quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you hear any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Are you
People
kidding
coming
me?
out of the woods carrying swastikas.
Oh my
on
God.
torches.
That's crazy.
And
Hold
seeing
on.
the same anti-Semitic bile.
Let me
they
pull this
sang
up real quick.
Back in Germany. And and the young woman I spoke to the mother, and they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? The people the ones that...
Bro, my bad. I didn't see my chat
the
this
ones
whole
that said, I think
time.
they're fine people,
It like froze.
What American president?
You said,
ever say,
let me catch up.
Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic
He said,
lie,
all I saw was,
carrying
this is
swastikas.
237 from
Fine people.
BTW.
This is the guy
And then
who
it
says-
stopped, and I was like, I know he didn't just
Looking
leave
out
me
the
on
wall.
red.
Good
He just
things that
left.
were done, that's what he said.
Just with
This guy
that,
has no
like,
sense of American democracy.
with that riddle.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know
He
that
said,
story's
this
been
is-
totally
It's my number
wiped
2,
out.
Blue
'Cause
Dart,
when you see the
PT
sentence, it
Cruz.
said, 100% exoneration.
Blue Dart, yeah, I knew. I thought it was you.
He didn't run because of Charlottesville.
Some of these cats all the shit over here. No. I don't need any more cats. That's your cell's number? Mine's 114. 1114, basically.
The worst.
I can't see the reactions to this.
In the history of our country.
He's dodging because APIC is in his cabinet. What's APIC? Both of them. Non-scapegoat. Oh, Lord.
Every reasonable actor has debunked
Dean.
And just the other
He still has cognitive for show. It's 2:37, ma'am. Calm down.
He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
Oh, thank you.
And debunked. It happened.
Honestly, I was laying down in bed, and then I was going to watch this, and I went, why don't I just just go live, just for no reason? Why not?
They were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those.
Oh, you like the steam? I got no steam.
He didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea.
Yeah, I got the cats to act right. They're my backup dancers, my backup streamers.
We saw the people breaking through the window.
You want me to look it up? Okay, God.
His own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top.
It's funny because I'm using this USB mic that I got from Radio Shack when they were still in business.
Thank you, President Biden.
But I have these very expensive mic and like a Go XLR, just like in a box. But I couldn't really get them to work and they kept messing up, so I just plugged the USB in, and you know what? It works. AIPIC. Oh, okay. Oh, yo, me either. I was on YouTube. I was looking at the NBA draft results. You know, Bronny got drafted 55th. I don't know if you watch basketball. I forgot. He got drafted the 55th pick for the Lakers to play with LeBron. And then I saw this. It was like streaming and you need a new PC cam. I saw this streaming and I was like, okay, I'll watch it for a little bit. And I went, if I'm gonna watch this long ass debate at least for a little bit, might as well stream it. See whoever comes in. Jake Hollins, that is such a white name. Oh, okay. The AIPAC stated purpose is to lobby the Congress of the United States on issues and legislation related to Israel. Okay. They're like an in-between. They get shit done for Israel. Oh, okay. That's why he was dodging. Because they watching. That's funny. Bro, I had to catch an Uber home. I don't have a car right now. You watch Formula 1? UFC boxing? I can't watch boxing or UFC. Sometimes UFC, but boxing, if I'm not there, to me it just looks like this. Like someone could get knocked out, and it just looks like this to me. Like this. And then they go down, they're like, oh, it must have been a hard hit. You gonna try to keep up with basketball? The season just ended. It's just trades, deadlines. I'll probably make a video about it. About the Nepo baby, LeBron James' son, Bronny. Like, he wasn't even gonna get drafted if he wasn't LeBron James' son. He averaged 5 points in college. Like, he got drafted. That's crazy. Any other kid would have had to go back for a second year at least. How long is this? Details. Like, I'm probably not gonna watch the whole thing. I don't know how long it's supposed to be, but I'd probably watch another like 30 minutes or so. Not trying to spend my whole night watching Old men stumble over words. You'll be surprised in what will knock you out when you're mad fatigue. I bet. No, I get it's hard, and I just can't get excited when it just looks, I can't, because I've never experienced it myself. Like, I played rugby, basketball, volleyball, a little bit of tennis. Like, even football I can relate to because I played rugby.
In your first terms, and you'd certainly face again in a second.
I can't relate because I haven't been in that situation.
While black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still
Okay, everyone's had their water break. Everyone's gone to the restroom.
Black mothers
Okay,
are
good.
3 times
Let's go.
more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans.
What's new?
What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there are more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level in a long time.
No.
Number three.
I haven't. I don't know if you know this, but I'm fragile. I break in my sleep, so I try to avoid fighting. I'm not a hothead.
These corporations are glued to keep people out of their houses. And
Shot is loaded. I'm ready.
The impact on the choice.
I went to Six Flags yesterday, and I got this candy. It's just gum, but it's really good. It's expensive, $5, but I only go there like once a year, so.
Cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for child care.
Yo, I'm so uneducated. I don't even know. Besides the like Ukraine and January 6th thing, I have no idea who's telling the truth. I just assume Trump is lying.
But we've done a great
But
so far.
I mean, if they answer the question, generally there's some truth to it.
What do you say to black
Trump
voters
is
who are
just like
disappointed
avoiding
with
the
progress
questions.
so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting.
I have a DSLR camera, and I know how to hook it up, but just this webcam I have is just it's like plug and play. It's kind of like the mic. It's just plug and play, and just to get started. What kind of candy is it? It is, let's see here. Where do you see that? It's Face Twisters, sour bubblegum. That's pretty good.
If they paid their bills for 10 years.
But like, it's kind of, I don't know if you had Big League Chew bubblegum.
Benefit from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
Big League Chew bubblegum. It's like, it's the kind of gum where you can just, you put it in your mouth, you want to swallow it immediately, and like, you can't because it's gum. But then it goes bad like 3 minutes later.
They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled, and tripled, and quadrupled.
Come here,
They
Alpha.
can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no
Here.
inflation. It was
It's my
perfect.
smallest
It was so
dog,
good. All he had to do is
Alpha.
leave it alone. He
Say hi.
destroyed it with his Green New Scam and all of the other, all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his
High
big
five.
kill on the black
five.
people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be.
Are they
18,
taking black
it could be
jobs?
19 and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs.
Black
and they're
jobs.
taking Hispanic
What?
Jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something.
What
that's
kind
gonna
of
be
jobs
the
is black
worst
people
in our
only?
Thank you. President Biden.
There was no inflation when I became
Yeah.
president. You know why?
You have to have some knowledge on everyone or you will get lost. But really look at APIC and the senators and politicians they founded for centuries. Okay.
That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs.
Okay, yeah, I'll look at that.
Provided thousands
You
of
say
millions of
Ralph?
jobs
It's
for
Alpha.
who were involved
She's a
in the
girl.
community.
Ralph.
sure that
Hey,
they have
you
health insurance.
kind of got
We
it.
have covered. The ACA
close.
has increased and made sure that there
I have 2 girls,
$8,000
one
per
boy.
person in a family.
The cats will probably end up going with me, at least the orange ones. This one,
Tried 50 times.
It's
He wants
Davy,
to
I
go to the
think.
ACA again,
is that Davy?
and they're going to try again. If they
Davy.
win. You find
Yeah,
ourselves in a
that's Davy.
position where the idea
What the actual duck?
He put more police on the street
Right.
than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity.
He said
equity and
black-
making sure people have a
Taking
shot.
black jobs.
There's a lot going on. But in inflation, he caused it
this?
by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history. And
Hey, it's fine. They're taking Mexican jobs. They're taking black jobs. They're taking Asian jobs. Hey, they're just taking jobs.
Former President Trump
Last year was what?
defend your opponent's
Taking
climate
American jobs? I
initiatives,
guess that's
but
white
will you
people.
take any action as president to slow the climate
Hey,
crisis?
calm down.
Let me just go back to what he said about the police,
Luca.
how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump.
Uh-oh. Here he
Almost
comes.
every police group.
Come on.
What he's done to
Oh,
the black
ow.
population
Look.
is horrible, including the
here.
fact that for 10 years he called them
You
super
want
predators.
attention?
We can't,
Come
in the
on.
1990s, we
It's
can't
okay.
forget that. Super predators was his name, and he called it to them, for 10, and they've taken great
Okay.
offense at it, and now they see it happening.
Wait. I
But
can't
when
come
they see
over
what I did
there.
for criminal justice reform and for the historically
Come here.
black
No, Alpha,
colleges
not
and
you.
universities where I funded them and got them all
Nah,
funded,
fuck that.
and the
She need to
opportunity
ask what a
with-
what's a
with
black
Tim
job,
Scott
right?
was incredible. He did a great job.
I'm
Great
still
senator
stuck on
from
that
South
too.
Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country. Opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And
Is this
that's
your
why
burner account?
we
Why do you have
the
a
best
burner
numbers for
account?
them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever. The best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a
Right,
horrible
yeah.
job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country. and
So
they're gonna
I
take the
have,
job, and it's already started. And you
So I
haven't
have
seen
this
anything
reaction
yet. It's a
screen,
disaster.
right? It's like
38
small
seconds
me,
left. President
big
Trump,
them.
will you take
And then I
any
have this
action
one.
as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate
Big me.
clean water, and I want
Small-
absolutely
small
clean
them.
air, and we have.
I like this one
We had
sometimes.
H2O. We had the best numbers
Um,
ever.
I don't like
And
being
we
on
did-
camera so
we
much,
were
so I like the
using
small one.
all
But
forms
I
of
mean,
energy,
it's
all
okay.
forms,
And
everything.
then I have
And
this
yet,
one.
during
You
my
can't
4
you can't
years,
see
I
it.
had the
But
best
right here is a
environmental
TikTok
numbers ever.
video,
And my top environmental
would
people
be.
gave me that statistic
or just
before I
full
walked
screen
on the
me,
stage, actually.
really, in
I don't
closet.
know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive
The web is wicked. I'll just say that.
legislation in history. In history, we find ourselves, and by the way,
So cute.
black colleges. I came up.
Why
with
are we
$50
talking
million
about black
for
people so
HBCUs,
much right
for
now?
Black universities and colleges, because they don't have those.
I guess. I mean,
contributors that they have to
I just.
build these laboratories and the like. Any student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. He doesn't have the money, but now they'll be able to
We're
get
just
those
not at that point.
jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea
I wish we
that
wouldn't have to
he
talk
was
about it. I wish it was just done,
to have done
or it gets
something that
done.
cleanest
But I feel
water,
like we talk about it so much and it
cleanest
doesn't
water.
get done.
he hadn't
So
done a
it's
damn thing in the
irritating.
environment. He,
The big
Paris
is a video
Peace
angle. The
Climate
small
change,
is more
he
live.
immediately joined
Yeah. Okay.
Because if we
Okay.
reach 1.5
Hey, you got
degrees
it.
Celsius,
That makes
then
sense.
we'll-
Yeah.
There's no way back.
Yeah.
The only existential threat to humanity is climate change.
Yeah.
And
This
he
is like
doesn't
if I
know
was like
anything about
streaming
it.
a video
Wants me to
game
do all that I've done.
too.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1
The other one
trillion,
is like
and
reaction
China
or
nothing, and Russia nothing,
Yeah.
and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States, and I ended it because I didn't want to waste.
You know,
that
Biden's
money
looking
because
more
it was
alive.
horrible.
Maybe he
We
had
were
a
the
nap
only ones
beforehand.
It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying it.
now
for
he's
it.
like
And
he's
it
more
was
awake,
it
or he
was
had
a
like some energy
disaster.
drink
But
before
everything that he
during the
said
break.
just now- I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I
And
took
barely
care of the
gotten
seniors.
anything. Yeah.
What he's doing is
Right.
destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in.
I'm
they
streaming
want
on YouTube
everybody-
right now.
Look, I have
It's
the-
just
I have the
because
biggest
I had
smile on
it
this
set
face, I
up,
guarantee
but I'm
you
actually
that.
gonna stream
And I wanna
on
take care of
Twitch
people.
and
But
then
we're
keep on
destroying our
YouTube
country.
my
They're taking over our
videos.
schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security.
Also on Twitch, you
Medicare,
can
and
get away with
Medicaid.
like playing copyright music more, especially if
idea
you're not
is
like
that
big.
We, in fact, we were the
Yeah.
only ones of
I've
consequence
loosely
were
been
not-
following.
We're not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to?
I will say, Trump got me involved. He got me interested because of how ridiculous he is.
By 2035,
Like,
we will have
all the drama he brought, like, definitely got me interested.
and we continue to make
Before I didn't even pay attention. I mean, Obama, yeah, black. But besides that, I didn't care.
Peace Corps, and we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change.
But I still haven't. No, I did eat.
But the idea.
I had Chick-fil-A.
He claims
Oh,
that
I
he is
walked
the
to
biggest
Chick-fil-A
player
after work,
really
and then I got an
concerned
Uber from Chick-fil-A. I don't have my car.
pollution and about climate. I've not seen
Crazy,
any
he used
issues.
Social
And by the way,
Security.
with regard to
Right?
prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day,
And by the way,
struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I'm proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. 1%.
that's
So
it?
No one after, I would not raise the
Wait.
cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make
If
the
that's
wealthy
true,
begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1%.
by the way,
to
bye.
to be able to guarantee the program for life.
What do you mean bye?
So you still
Are
have
you
82
leaving?
seconds left.
Oh
Are there
no,
any
by the
other
way,
measures
bye.
that you think that would be
Oh,
able to help
no,
us
he
keep
said
Social
that. I know.
Security solvent,
There's
or
this
is
lag
that
on
just that
YouTube
one?
too. I don't know if
that one enough
there's
is
this
to
lag
solve
on
it.
Twitch.
The biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's
it's not called lag. What's it called?
He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, both times.
A delay.
And that's
There's
what-
like
and
this
if you
delay
look
on
at the
YouTube. I don't know how to
program
fix
put
it.
forward by the House Republican caucus that he
I don't really see the chat
supports
until like a
is in
minute or
fact
30 seconds
want to cut
later.
it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect
By the way,
is
bye.
ridiculous. And by the way,
That's funny.
the American public has greater health care
Legs are
coverage
soft.
today than ever before. And on this year, as I said, we're in a circumstance where 400,000
No,
people
Biden. LOL.
are
Yeah,
free.
yeah. No,
40
no,
million
no. I
people
got it.
are
I
not
told you I
being
don't know how to
protected.
fix this
This
delay.
only allows them to
Hey,
have
next
health
time.
insurance is the fact that they
Yeah,
in fact are part of the
probably.
ACA. And by the
I've
way,
streamed
the
a couple
other thing,
times,
we're in
and
a
my
situation
friends
where
always
it's
like,
about
yeah, there's like this
education
30-second
black community.
or a
That
minute
raised
delay. I don't know if
the
that's normal for
the amount
YouTube
of money for Pell
on
Grants,
OBS.
another $8,000. So anybody
Interesting.
making under $70,000 a year.
I think I'd have to
get
restart
$15,000
if I did figure it
for
out.
tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've
Woo!
been a politician.
I'll definitely look at it
all my
next
life.
time.
I've been on this side of
See
the
it.
equation for the last 8 years.
I know on Twitch you can
I've
make a
never seen
delay
anybody lie like this guy.
or
He
like
lied.
have
I've
no
never seen
delay.
it. He could look you in the face. About so many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation.
This is what we were talking about.
Made up. It's a total lie on the military.
Oh, no one can
It's a
dox or
disgrace.
troll me?
But Social Security.
Why
who's
would they
destroying
troll
it?
me
Because
with a
millions of
delay?
people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security.
Nah, I'm oblivious.
They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the.
This is
place
what
of our
we were talking
citizens
about.
there.
They need like a
What they're
red,
doing
green
to
light
the
behind them.
VA,
I
to our
don't
veterans is
know.
unbelievable.
Like,
Our
if you're
veterans are
not,
living in the street,
you have to
and
know
these people are
every
living in luxury
piece of
hotels.
information that they're talking
He doesn't
about,
know what he's
and
doing,
almost
and
no one knows that.
it's
Not
really coming
everything.
back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
I need a red light, green light.
Veterans are not
Liar,
taken care of. I
liar.
told you before. By the way,
Truth,
when he said
truth.
suffering the losers, he said he acknowledged after that.
No
he's
one can
fired.
dox or troll me. No one else
him
is
about
watching
fire.
my streams but
Because
you
he's
right
the
now.
one who's acknowledged
Like,
that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he
this
said it.
this is it.
Number one.
This
Number
is the
two,
apex I got
the
right
idea
now.
That we're going to be in a situation where
And maybe my
all of
other
these
two friends.
Millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs.
I
The
was supposed to
reason
call
why
my
we
friend
have
back.
the fastest
I
growing
did
economy
not.
in the world, the reason why we have the most
Ooh.
successful economy in the world, we're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureats you talked about being
Hi,
funny,
Rook.
those 15 Nobel laureats,
Hi.
economists, they all said
Hi, Alpha.
that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession,
girl.
and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history.
Oh, the web's a
159
wicked place.
presidents
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
To him, the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's
Hey,
turn to the cost
cats,
of child
please
care
stop
that
being
many
bad.
American families
Please,
struggle to
I'll feed
afford.
you later.
President Trump,
I
both
already
you
fed
and
you earlier.
President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for two children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the
This is
general got
Rook.
fired
He's my
because he
big
was no
dog,
good.
my oldest.
And if he said that, that's
I've
why
had
he
him
made
since
it
he
up.
was
But we have
like
19
3.
people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other
He
thing
gets
is,
annoyed when I don't give him
he
attention.
doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never
Oh,
seen him
can
fire
they?
anybody. I
That's
did fire a lot.
crazy.
I fired Comey because he was no
I
good.
didn't
I
give
fired
him
a lot
enough
of the top
attention
people
when I
at
got
the
home.
FBI, drained the swamp.
Ugh,
They were no good.
I know,
You
I'm
easily
still
fire
dirty.
people. You pay a price for it, but they were no good.
You're
I
gonna wait
inherited
today?
these people. I
Did you
didn't
miss
put
me?
him. I didn't put Comey
Okay.
there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy.
But it's rare as hell. I'm a rush. I'm a rush taker, but she. I say risk taker.
Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
Cats are just up to no good.
Anybody?
God,
Did you fire
I'm like,
anybody that's
I
on
took
the
a
border?
mini
That's allowed us
bath.
at the worst border
Did
in
you
the
ever get
history
that
of the world?
dog you were
Did
talking
anybody get
about?
fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed?
Hi.
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get
Nepotism,
the border.
inheritance,
Came out with
all that.
a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit.
Nepotism
like
is
this much.
inheritance.
It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut.
They know how to play off words. They've been doing this for years.
That's how bad it is.
78 years old
in
81.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world.
We need a younger president. A younger, competent president. That's really what I want. I don't think I'm going to vote, honestly.
No one thinks we're weak. No one
if I do,
wants
I'll just vote for the lesser evil. And I don't like Trump because he lies more.
That we're talking about worst presidents.
No, I haven't. My cousin was claiming he didn't say that and wants me to pay now. What? Bruh, he flipped on you. He switched up. Oh, I'm sorry.
Best to worst.
Are you still living with Are you living with your grandma?
That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted.
Or did you move?
The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care. He did virtually nothing.
My dogs are way too attached to me.
We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to.
Here you go, throwing out those big words.
We should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just you understand.
Etymology.
We have polling. We have other
Etymology.
That they rate him the worst.
Etymology.
What he's done is
the
so
study
bad.
of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. Oh, okay,
If I'm given
okay.
another 4 years.
Okay, you're looking around for a new spot.
Nobody's ever.
It's only 600 for the dog. I think work cost me $30, maybe $60.
He wants to raise.
Oh no!
By 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody.
You're looking around for a new spot.
You are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before.
I'm moving to Crowley.
I see politicians talking about taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said,
I was looking over there, and there's this place called Cameron Creek.
They were
pretty good.
back into our country.
I like them.
the worst president in history.
I
by
just,
far,
I
and
didn't,
everybody
I think
knows
they
it.
had too many speed bumps for me.
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about he's
I know that's a small thing, but,
he will increase
you know, I know what I like
the,
now, and I was
taxes
looking
on middle-class people.
for
I
things.
said I'd never raise a tax on anybody that make less than $400,000.
I was looking at on Brian Irvin.
His tariff is 10% tariffs.
I looked at Cameron Creek, Shannon
That's going to cost
Creek.
the average American
Yeah, but Cameron Creek was a good one.
$2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference.
It's worth it.
And all the things that are important.
Shoot,
Number two,
I care about
he's
my
in a
dogs,
situation
and
where
2 of
he
them were
talks
free.
about
So
how he is not
if I paid
raised-
$600 for one,
he somehow helped the middle class.
don't touch them.
The middle class have been devastated.
Now that's
you're
an
gonna
asset.
get a tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history.
I'm moving to
Number one.
Crowley.
Number two,
It's only
you
like
have
11
not, in
minutes
fact,
from
made any contact,
Discount Tire.
any progress with China. We are at the lowest trade deficit with China.
At least I hope I'm moving there. I got
Thank you,
this
President Biden.
whole situation going on with my Social Security card, which I'm hoping comes in the mail tomorrow.
That both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up.
Of course, it's a small thing.
Right.
Right?
Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you
Jeez.
do to help Americans right now in the throes of
I'm getting like
addiction
6
who are
weeks.
struggling to get the
They be
treatment
taxing
they
on
need?
dogs for show. Yeah, for sure.
Finish up.
Hey, cat,
we now
get out the
have the
closet.
largest deficit
Come here.
in the history of our
Come
country
here.
under this guy.
Come
We
here.
have the largest deficit.
I'm gonna
with
lock you
China.
in. Come
He
here.
gets paid
Get
by
out.
China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. We have,
Jesus.
so I think he's afraid to deal with them or something.
I like
But you notice he
the
never
generate
took out
money
on
or
tariffs
something.
because we bring in so much money.
I like they
with the
generate
tariffs
money.
that I imposed on China. He never took
They,
it out. He can't because it's too much money. It's
I
tremendous.
think
And
we should
saved
be
our
able to
steel
claim
industries,
dogs
and there was more to
on-
come, but he hasn't done that.
on income
And he
tax.
hasn't
You know,
cut
like
the tariffs
kids,
because he can't,
like my
because it's
sister
too much
gets,
money. But he's got
she
the
almost gets like
largest
either
deficit in the
1,500 or
history of
2K
our
per
country,
child.
and he's got the worst.
Right,
worst
right.
situation
I
with
know you're
China.
like, then a
China's
lot of
gonna
people are
own
just
us if
gonna
you keep
get
allowing
dogs.
them
I'm like,
to
but
do what they're doing
people
to us
have
as a
kids.
country. They are
They don't
killing
just
us as a country, Joe,
have
and
kids
you
to get
can't let
more
that
income
happen.
tax. I'm
You're
sure some
destroying
people
our
do, but
So, President Trump, you have
maybe there's like
67
a
seconds.
2-dog
The
limit
question was, what
that
are
you
gonna
can
do to
claim.
help Americans in the throes of addiction
You know?
right now who are struggling to get the treatment
and
they
then
need?
maybe just like
Kids are doing
500
very well at
each.
addiction until the
Or
COVID came along.
1,000.
The 2.5, almost
But
3 years.
I mean,
like
they're
nobody's ever had before
dependents.
any country,
They
in
depend on
every
me.
way.
What?
And then we had to get
What's
tough,
wrong?
and it was the drugs pouring across
I'm
the border.
busy. I'm busy
were-
right now.
It started
Okay.
to increase. We got
Come.
great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen. The way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers. Very
Interesting.
Low numbers. Then he came along.
And it's
The
a
numbers
man's
got-
best
you
friend
see
and
the
a
numbers
woman's.
Now, it's not only the 18
Come
million
here.
people that I believe is even low because the gotaways. They don't even talk about gotaways.
I
But the
can't.
numbers of
Mommy's
the-
busy
the
right
amount
now.
of drugs and
Okay?
human trafficking in women.
Watch them start
across
showcasing
our
dogs
border.
to be able to
The
tax
worst thing I've
if
ever
it goes
seen.
that far.
At
Yeah.
numbers that nobody's ever seen under him
Well,
because the border's so bad. But the
Jake.
number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest
Alfred,
we've ever had by
What are you
far.
doing?
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down.
I had a guy in air check
I
today.
wanted to make sure we use
But he
the
said,
machine that can detect fentanyl. These big machines.
He was
that
trying
go
to tell
over
me
and
that
come
Mexicans are
across the border.
Asian.
And it costs a lot of money.
And
That was
then
part of
he
this
said
deal we put together,
Negro.
this bipartisan deal.
And
More
I
fentanyl
couldn't figure
machines,
out whether or
more-
not it's
more
racist or
people
not.
take drugs,
He was a white
more-
guy.
more
But he wasn't
numbers
saying it
of
in
agents
like in a
going over
racist fashion. He was just
And
saying
when we
it
had that
as
deal
in
done,
like,
he called his Republican colleagues and said, don't do it.
I don't know why he
It's
didn't
gonna
just
hurt me."
say black or
But
African, but he
never
was
argued
saying
it's
it
not
like
a
he
good
was
bill.
saying black.
It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines.
And I
We're coming down
couldn't
very
figure
hard
out
on
whether or
this
not
country
I was
in
offended,
Asia
but he was
because
just
of
talking about
precursors of
history.
fentanyl, and Mexico is working with us to make sure
And
they don't have the technology to be able to
It's
put it
not
together.
it's not the same,
That's what we
right?
have to do.
As
We
the
need
N word.
those machines.
Thank
With
you,
the hard
President Biden.
R
President Trump,
or the
again,
A?
The question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now struggling to get the treatment they need?
I don't think so. I think it's more like history. I wasn't really offended. It was just weird hearing any kind of N-word come out of a white man's, an old white man's mouth.
So many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage.
That is incorrect. Yeah, I said, really? You know, like some people, you can't change their mind. I wasn't going to change his mind. I was just like, oh, okay. Okay. And he ended up tipping me $5. I guess we're just talking to him.
Before I take office, I said, by literally, as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars.
No,
because
everyone go lay down.
We had 2 cases. We paid $6 billion for 5
He said
people.
no. He said Negro,
and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden,
he wasn't calling me a Negro. He was saying Hispanics, Negro,
your capability to handle
and
the toughest job in the world,
Asian descent.
Well, first of all, I spent half my career.
Wait, was it the bear?
The youngest person in politics. I was
the bear? What do you mean?
Ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look, I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I left the cat in the closet. Get out of there.
Billions of dollars.
See, that's what you get.
Investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being
I don't think you understand. We're worried you're just going to die one day. We're not really worried about
President Biden, you have 40 seconds
like
left.
you passing,
yeah,
like,
I would. The idea that somehow
like getting things done. You have people. He has people to do stuff for him, right?
Like this before.
I'm worried he's not going to be alive in 2 years.
Single major country president wouldn't trade places with the United States of America. For all our problems and all our opportunities.
The oldest
We're
person
the most
there.
progressive country in the world.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy that
Trump's
Trump's only 3 years, but Trump is 3 years younger than Biden.
All of our allies.
I mean, Trump doesn't look like a spring chicken, but he talks in comparison to Biden at least like 8 to 10 years younger. He doesn't look 8 to 10 years younger, but like.
To follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term.
Jesus.
What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way.
Oh, the oldest person at my store?
He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
Who is
he can't hit a ball
Johnny
50 yards.
David's
I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that
I think
I'm
David's
as
like
good a shape
30
as I was
or 31.
30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit
Dave's
lighter,
like 31
but
or
I'm
32,
as good a shape as I
and
was,
I'm not the oldest person
years
there.
ago. I feel very
Thank
good. I feel the
God.
same. But I was
Anthony
willing to
is
take the
like,
cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do
I think
well,
he's
asked
28.
Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy. When he
I'm
was
26.
and then I took another one.
So I honestly thought I was 27,
one of them said
and
they'd
then a couple
never seen
days ago I was like,
anybody.
wait, I'm only 26.
President Biden?
Jesus.
He is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 35 pounds.
I think David's the oldest,
Well, you said
right?
6'4".
No, Chris. Chris is the oldest.
Anyway, that's what anyway, just take a look at what he says he is.
I think Christian's
That's what he
25.
is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
Bergold.
And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest rival. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
But
Let's
let's
not
not
act
act
like
Why are we talking about?
Let's not act like children.
This shot has
specific
arrived.
concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say
Hey,
right
he could
now
say
that
yes
political violence in any
now.
form is
If
unacceptable?
he loses,
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally
He's gonna say it's-
unacceptable. And if
it's
you would see
fake.
my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made
As
in the
long
roadshow,
as he
you would say
wins.
it's one of the strongest statements you've ever
It's
seen.
fine.
In addition to the speech I made,
it's real.
in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police.
I might
And
have to
as
make a
Nancy
YouTube
Pelosi
video
said,
about this.
It was her
I don't know what.
responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear.
I mean,
But
I
the
watched
answer
this
is,
much of it.
If the election is fair, free,
It won't be a
and honest,
reaction
it's
video. It'll
one
probably
way.
just be like
And
a
I'll tell you
recap.
something. I wish he was a great president.
Or a reaction
because I wouldn't
video,
be
same
here right
thing.
now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment.
How long is this,
because I
though?
wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a
So he's
failing
saying he
nation
wouldn't be
right now. We're a
running
seriously
if
failing
Biden was a
nation.
better president?
And we're a failing nation because of him.
Okay.
His policies are
Sure.
so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going
Right.
with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War
I'm actually
III.
looking at right now how long it's supposed to be.
You want a
Oh, it's
world
90
war
minutes.
III.
2
Let
commercial
Putin
breaks.
Follow and win, and let Putin say, "Do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want." There's a thing called
Yeah,
Article
even
5.
after the fact.
An attack on one is attack on all. Required response. The idea. I can't think of a single major leader in the world.
This
who
started
would say, "Please
at
thank the job I've done, what they've done." Because we're a powerful nation. We have wonderful peace. Because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people.
How many
Who
breaks
keep
have we had?
leading, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect.
I think
the
it's
world
only like
because of our own safety.
30
as a
more
state.
minutes.
And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish.
Please answer the question.
Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it.
He
Not to
knew.
play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me.
Did he say
But now he's
he
going to take the whole
he took
thing
nothing?
from this
He
man
took
right
nothing
here.
from Trump.
That's a war that
Talking
should
about
have
in third
never
person?
started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. Because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous
Thanks
cities
for
with
the
golden
like,
domes that are 1,000 years old.
Mr. Jake
all
Hollins.
Because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the
Hey,
results of the
let's
election?
a third time. Let's try a third time.
Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and
If
good
it's a
election,
fair and legal,
absolutely.
if I deem
would
it so,
much rather
if
accept
I
his
deem it
news.
fair,
But
meaning
the
if I
fraud
win,
and everything else
yeah,
is
yeah.
ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have
Everything's
a news
good.
conference on it in a week. or we'll have another one of these in a
Yeah, he
week.
said that shit.
But
Yeah.
I will absolutely. There's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to.
Oh my
run until
God!
the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no
Oh, thank you.
indictments, no political
Yeah.
opponent stuff.
Thank you
because
again
It's the
for
only
the
way
like.
he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
God.
Your numbers are
Why ask
the
him?
selection is over.
Honestly, doesn't matter what his answer is going to be
You're
because he
whining.
could lie about it
You
tomorrow.
lost the first time. You continued. You appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one.
If he's
single court
lying
in
half
America
the time,
said any
then what's the
influence had
point?
Any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke.
oh, my mom's calling. I'm going to mute
lie
myself.
About somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that. at
Never
all.
mind. Hello?
And I tell you what, I doubt.
No,
you
hey,
would
Mom, what's
accept it
up?
Because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again.
On
you
the
accept
4th
it
of
again,
July,
you
I'm
can't
probably
stand
working.
it
Hold
all.
on.
Something
Let me
snapped
look at
in
my
you
calendar.
last time.
Thursday?
right back.
I don't know if we're
More
off or
from the
not.
CNN presidential debate.
Also, I
Live
don't have a
from
car, so yeah. I'll see if I get my car back. Yeah. Why? Huh? Oh. Yeah, I'll try to make it. If I don't know if we're off or if I have a car. Woo! On the let's see here. Again, it's a Wednesday. I don't know if I'll have a car. This all. Yeah, on the 10th. Where's your doctor's at? Okay, well I'll get you an Uber if I can't drive you. So it'll be fine, as long as it's not Parkland. Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, so don't worry about that. But the 4th is up in the air because I don't have a car, so. Yeah, no, I get that. Okay, Mom. Okay, love you. Bye. Rook? Hey. Come down. Maybe I should, I think I'm gonna run and take them out during this break. So I'll be right back. They'll probably be back in, this is the last debate, this is the last break. It's gonna... I know I'm not muted. I know I unmuted myself. I was like, I don't know why. I don't really need to. I'll be right back. Oh, look. Okay, so I got these. Before I go, I got these just plain templates. Where is it at? Okay, here. So I have this one. Where is it at? Rook, quiet. So this is starting soon. Let's see. I got, where's it at? Okay, be right back. And where's it? This one. Okay, and this is just stream mode, stream mode. Okay, I will be right back.
It is now time for the candidates to deliver their closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes and will not. And if I'm reelected, that will be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along, it's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care.
Okay, I'm back.
Increase the credits people have for child care. We're going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation.
I even refreshed my hair
President Biden, President Trump, you now have
I
2
hadn't
minutes
fixed
for your
it since I
closing
got off
statement.
work.
Like
I was
so many
legit just about to take a
politicians,
shower
this
and
man
this
was
shit
just a
started.
complainer. He said
I was
we
only at
wanted
work
to
for
do
like
this, we wanted to
3
do that,
hours,
we
4
wanted to do
hours,
this
so.
tax, that tax. But he doesn't
But
do
best
anything.
believe,
He
as
doesn't
soon as
do
I get
anything.
off
He doesn't
here,
make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all
Alpha?
passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror. No money
I
whatsoever.
could use like a
Again,
smoothie right
Ukraine
now or
should have never
something.
happened. He
But I
talks
ain't
about
got a
all the stuff
car.
he didn't do it for 3.5
I'm not trying to
years.
order
We're
no
living in hell.
smoothie.
We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place.
He got kicked
You talk
out?
about Charlottesville. This is 100
What?
times Charlottesville, 1,000 times.
How?
The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We built
How'd
the
you get kicked
military. We
out?
got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore.
That's
We're
so
gonna make it great
weird.
again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis.
So
of
do you
this
have
debate.
150
Anderson
followers
Cooper
or
and Aaron Burnett
subscribers
starts
on
now
Twitch?
On CNN.
Yeah, you gotta fix your PC too. You know, a lot of people were saying that Trump wasn't gonna do that well with this format because there's a bunch of rules in there. supposed to be like not
President
in
and
his
former
favor.
presidents making their way off the CNN debate stage. Looks like Jill Biden, the first lady,
Oh, that's it?
has come out.
We're
Former
done?
President Trump walking off the stage. The first debate of the 2024 campaign and the earliest presidential debate
Oh,
ever
yeah,
now
we're done.
in the books and in front of the voters. Tonight,
I paid
along with Aaron
attention half
Burnett,
the time.
First word on what those voters might make of it from our political professionals, from our CNN Flash Poll and Swing State Focus Group. We'll be talking to surrogates, including Vice President Harris, getting fact checks from our Daniel Dale, and new reporting from inside both
Oh, okay.
campaigns. With me here,
That's
CNN
cool.
political commentator Scott Jennings, Kate Bedingfield,
Yeah,
David
you gotta
Urban,
fix
Van
your
Jones,
PC.
Alyssa Farr Griffin, and Newsnight anchor Abby Phillip, and David Axelrod.
Dang, Trump just
and
walked
CNN
off,
Chief
didn't
National
like,
Correspondent John King. John,
didn't
let me
say
start with you. Your
nothing.
thoughts.
Anderson, this
Did he
was
shake
a
anyone's
game-changing
hands?
debate in the sense that right now, as we speak, there is a deep,
Trump did
a
better
wide,
than I
and a
thought he
very
was gonna do,
aggressive
though.
panic in the Democratic Party. It started
he
minutes
lied,
into the debate,
like,
and it continues right
90%
now.
of the time.
It involves party strategists, it involves elected
Didn't answer
officials,
any of the
it
questions.
involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in the ticket, and they're having conversations about what they should do about it. Some of those conversations include, should we go to the White House and ask the president to step aside? Other of the conversations are about, should prominent Democrats go public with that call? Because they feel this debate was so terrible. They do say, in moments in the debate later, the president
nice.
got better and got
That's
his
still
footing,
cool.
but then at the end, even his closing statement was a little halting. The contrast between the two candidates. Let me be
So
clear.
I had,
None of them, and a lot of Republicans don't think Donald Trump had a great night. Donald Trump broke the fact-check machine more than I can count tonight. That will
Yeah,
be
the
on record as
fact-check
we go
machine,
forward.
yeah.
He refused to answer some very specific and direct questions about
Yep.
his conduct, about January 6th and what all. So that will be dealt with
He
out there.
refused
And
the
sometimes
answer,
there's a
yeah.
parallel universe between the political elites and the American people. It'd be nice to see what the voters say. But I can tell you, it started minutes in. It started with the first couple of answers, and it has continued throughout the night from a, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, to what do we do about this? And it involves very senior people in the Democratic Party, including elected officials, saying we have a problem.
And just to co-sign what John is saying, I mean, the panic that
Yeah,
I'm
they have to.
hearing from
I know,
Democrats
right?
is not
Isn't
like
that
anything
crazy?
I have
Thinking
heard
someone
in this
would
campaign
like
so far.
subscribe.
And a lot of it has to
I
do with,
know,
first of all, there was
for
a deep
me, I just
frustration
think it's
about
crazy that
Trump's
anyone would
lies. I mean, he lied a lot
subscribe
tonight.
just
but
to
the problem
watch
for
me
Biden
talk.
was that Trump
Like,
was able to take
that's
sometimes
insane. But I
incredible
mean, it
falsehoods and
happens
turn them into some kind of argument.
so many people.
Whereas
So
Biden's answers were, in a lot of cases, not coherent, deeply problematic. That he was not able to take pretty straightforward answers and answer them to the American public, and then also at some points bringing things up that teed up Trump attacks. So there's a real concern here tonight that there's been some real damage done that cannot be undone. Biden solidified the perception among voters, but especially among his base. They were hoping that tonight would be a game changer. They are now seeing a president who is in the White House who they do not necessarily believe can do this for another 4 years.
David Axelrod?
Look, I can't argue with either of them about how a Democrat
see,
Democratic
the
leaders
only
are
part that they're
reacting to this
missing,
poll.
what they're saying is true. All of this is true. Definitely Biden won that debate just based off the fact that Trump either avoided answering half the questions or he was lying about most of the things coming out of his mouth. But the people that follow Trump don't care. They believe, hey, Luca, stop that. They believe Trump because he's Trump. That's how he got elected. My dad's calling. That's how he got elected. That's how he's sustained this following for so long. He lies. People believe him. They don't care if it's the truth or not. Like, it won't matter for those people. So the only hope is to either get through to some people that are actually thinking clearly, basing it off of logic, and have their minds changed. Because it's still going to be a close one. Like, it's not going to be like a 80-20. It'll probably be like 60-40 or like 55-45.
He could not resist the
split.
The temptation to be nasty,
It's always close in the more recent years.
About a whole bunch of things about his own record, about
Yeah,
Biden's
so
record. And to
only
see
hope is
Betty
for
and
some
Paul at
Trump
times.
supporters
So
to see the
what
light.
you saw was a candidate who's deeply vulnerable.
I say
and a
hope, but then
president who may
again,
not be
our
able
other
to take
choice is
advantage
Biden.
of it.
So,
Listen,
like,
if anybody in
bruh.
America thinks that was even close to being an okay debate by Joe Biden, I'm living in a parallel universe. That was an unmitigated disaster for President Biden from the second he walked out.
Oh, this guy's
to the
funny.
closing
This is the guy.
statement.
These are the people I'm
Biggest
talking about.
issue for Democrats is abortion, and he couldn't give an answer. He gave an answer, he couldn't even give a coherent answer on the biggest issue for
He looks like a
Democrats
Trump supporter.
I've heard from leading Democrats across the United States, elected governors, congressmen, who are texting me and saying, I'm worried I'm going to lose if Joe Biden's at the top of the ticket. Bob Casey, I promise you tonight, in the state of Pennsylvania, is thrown up in his mouth because he knows that if he's got to stand next to Joe Biden, he's going down in Pennsylvania. If he's on the ticket, I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, look, it was a really disappointing debate performance from Joe Biden. I don't think there's any other way to slice it. His biggest issue that he had to prove to the American people was that he had the energy, he had the stamina, and he didn't do that. And so I think that is of concern, and I think for a lot of Democrats, that's very disappointing. I will say
Biden 100% look washed and old. He looked his age.
And, talking to the Biden campaign, they say, their dials.
But Trump was lying the whole time.
Away from Trump as he was increasing his personal attacks on Biden. So I think there was a lot about
which one we
his
taking?
kind of character and the kind of
at least if Biden
that he was putting on display.
dies,
doesn't help him
like,
with the swing voters that he needs. And I also think you saw him continue to get
probably
more
didn't
and more
fuck things up too much before he passed away.
Give some really problematic answers
That's so
about
messed up
January
to say.
6th, some really problematic answers about Putin. So, Donald Trump did not get off scot-free tonight by any stretch. But look, there is no two ways about it. That was not a good debate for Joe Biden.
Ben?
These people are definitely
that was painful.
Republicans.
I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all, and he looked. I'll give you the analysis. You kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart.
That's perfect.
I love that guy.
Old man
That's
versus
a
a con man.
He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can.
That's a thumbnail.
But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base.
I'm not really interested in reacting to
and I think there's a lot of people
politics,
who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that.
Get banned off my
that
screen.
Was, not what we needed from Joe Biden.
You know this guy?
It's personally painful.
I don't know this guy.
It's not just panic, it's pain of what we saw tonight.
And if I may just add to that, I think Joe Biden lost in the first 3 minutes. I think a lot of voters probably tuned out, and millions of people are having conversations with their families, with their friends, of if the president is up to the task and if he should step aside. And I'm someone who believes the former president is a threat to democracy. I think he is a threat to the America as we know it. He wants to fundamentally change our institutions. He has laid out what his plan is. I am not confident that that is the man to take him on. You cannot tell me democracy is on the line and then give that performance tonight. If, based on that, in 18 weeks, Donald Trump will be the president-elect.
I'm not.
The people doing focus groups tonight, and we'll see if our style group with Laura Coates confirms this, say that Biden actually scores pretty well on the issues when he's talking about the substance. And Trump's numbers went down, both because he was ducking questions, he was lying about some things. And
okay, hey, I'm going to get off now.
Some of it was the tone. They don't like him. So when you see that, when you see
thanks for watching.
Statistics,
Appreciate it, Jake,
you're gonna look at like,
Nick,
oh, that's a mixed
whoever
bag.
you are.
To Vance's point about the president's performance,
237.
that's what caused the panic. So the question is, and my question actually is, what happens?
Text me so I have your new phone number, by the way.
The great political strength of Joe Biden is his resilience and his stubbornness. It's also sometimes a blind spot because he is so stubborn. It's going to be very hard to someone, and I don't know who it is, who could go to Joe Biden and say, you need to do this. Number one. And the question is, again, like, I'm just telling you, to Abby's point, I've been doing this for 30-something years, going on 40 years, and I have never, ever had what happened on this thing tonight.